What's going on, everybody? Brian Trippe. I am leaving Atlanta, Georgia. Took a little trip over here on a Wednesday, Thursday. It's early Friday morning on June the 30th. Heading back to Birmingham. Spent a couple of days out here. Got to go really to an incredible conference where my guy Gary Vaynerchuk spoke. If you've been following me for any period of time, you know how high I am on Gary V. You can look him up, facebook.com/Gary, or you can just search the hashtag in any platform, hashtag Gary VEE. Love this dude, man. He is the reason why you guys are getting so much content out of me. My number one core business belief is a book he wrote, which is called Jab, 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 Right Hook, which is give, 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 and then ask. I make sure I'm 51% of every relationship I'm in, no matter what. Make sure I'm giving you guys way more value than what I'm getting back in return. I just believe that it'll come back to me. If it doesn't come back to me from you in particular, it will with somebody else. And you know, the people, and this is probably the best piece of advice that I can give to anybody, period, in business. And this came straight from Gary Vaynerchuk. Give away everything. Give away your best stuff. Give away everything. Don't hold anything back. It sounds bold. It sounds like a crazy statement. I'm in the process of writing a book right now. It's called How to Make Money by Giving Everything Away. And I believe in it with all my heart. It's worked. It's worked for me. In the 6 months I've been putting out content like I have, guys, you have no idea. You have no clue what's been happening to me on an individual basis because of my generosity and because I believe wholeheartedly in give, 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 and then give some more, and then maybe if the circumstances are right, then ask. Guys, I give everything away. Now, I'm not, you know, there's some people who might be listening to this and saying, well, Brian, I've asked you for tons of stuff and you won't give it to me. And if that is the case, then it might be a situation where all you're doing is asking. And you can't be that way. You got to give something back. And it doesn't even have to be money. I'm just talking about you got to give something back in return of value. You know, I can't be 100% of the relationship. If you're consuming my content, I am. But if you're out there just take, and then you call me and you email me and ask me for this and ask me for this, I'll give it to you the first time or two. But if you keep calling me and keep asking things of me with no value back on my end, then I will. I mean, there does come a point in time where it's just like you can't be that way. But my heart is huge. If you know me for it's raining like a mug. But if you've known me for any period of time, you know that I have a heart for giving, and I do give as much as I possibly can. And so I put out content. I love putting out content. I put out content because of Gary Vaynerchuk. So I came over to Atlanta and watched him speak. He didn't say anything I hadn't already heard before. But I love being in this atmosphere, an atmosphere of motivation. Tony Robbins was also a speaker at this event, and if you know who that is, then you kind of understand that's big time motivation. I don't like to go to a lot of these. I like to just put my head down and work. I go to maybe one of these a year, maybe two. It costs a little bit of money, but for me, it's worth it. It's worth it for me to network with people and then listen to Gary Vaynerchuk and just kind of get nuggets, a couple of nuggets, and that's important for me. And it's important for me to reset. I came over here to Atlanta to just kind of get away from Birmingham for a couple of days and kind of reset my mind, and now I'm, you know, it's 9:30 on Friday morning, 9:30 Central Time on Friday morning, and I've got a 1 o'clock appointment, and I got a 3 o'clock appointment, and I got a 5 o'clock appointment. So I am hustle, work mode a lot of the time. That you guys don't see that. You don't see a lot of that. But I am, I need to reset, you know, every once in a while. Come over here and get some motivation. I need to refuel so I can pour back into you guys. And if you've been following me for any period of time, you know, I mean, we put out as much content as we can. We make a point to put out at least one thing every single day, and now we've been successful with that. So now we're trying to up our game to 2 things, and we're not trying to be huge. We're not trying to put out 10. We're not trying to go from 1 to 10 overnight, because it doesn't work that way. It's impractical. You got to build slowly, and that's one thing about business that I've learned, and I messed up at. You can't go from 0 to 100 in the snap of a finger. You got to go 0 to 1, and then you got to go from 1 to 2, and then you got to go from 2 to 3. You really and truly have to build slowly to have massive success, to scale. And you know, Matthew Gregory spoke on this one time, where he's, you know, he flipped 1 house at a time, and then he flipped 2 houses at a time, and then he flipped 3 houses at a time. And it literally was a process that took 20 years to get to where he is today. A lot of guys want the end like right now. You want it all right now. You got to eat shit. Like Gary Vaynerchuk says, you have to eat shit for many years, and I'm in year 5 and I'm still eating shit. I'm still hustling my ass off, and you have to do that. You've got to hustle and hustle and hustle. If you really and truly want a life for yourself that's bigger, you want more, you're like saying, if you're in a position right now where you're listening to this and you're like, I want more, then do something about it. And you have to hustle. It's not going to come overnight. It just does not come overnight. You got to put in the work. You got to love the climb. You have to love the process. The process is what will get you to where you want to be. But if you hate the process, you'll never get there. If you hate going into the gym every single day, if you hate eating right, then you're never going to be healthy long term. It's just something to think about, something to consider.
So Atlanta, if you could, please give a very big National Achievers Congress Atlanta welcome to Gary Vaynerchuk!
Thank you. Thank you, Atlanta. I genuinely believe, and I know that all of you are going to be like, well, I'm in that 10%, but I genuinely believe that 90% of this audience is spending way too much time trying to fix the sink when the well is broken. And if you don't understand what's happening on the internet in a 2017 world, and don't realize that the internet is the single biggest impact on our society that we've ever seen, and that if you are not relevant and executing and succeeding on the web today, that your upside is unbelievably limited from a professional standpoint. It has never been a better time to be an entrepreneur or to live in society than today. There's always stuff. Your politics may be in one direction, you may be scared about certain things in the macro world, terrorism, the economy. You could talk about, there's always issues with favoritism, racism, sexism. There's always stuff, but at a macro, today, on this day, in 2017, it's never been better. In 1994, with Moose in the room next to me, I walked into a room and I heard, hoo, hoo, shh. Dial-up internet for all the youngsters in here. If you're wondering what the fuck I was just doing. If I told you, how many people here are parents of children? Raise your hands. Great. If I told you, how many people were parents 8 years ago? Raise your hands. Perfect. If I told you 8 years ago, hey parents, let me pitch you on something. You're gonna want, in 8 years, you're gonna prefer, in 8 years, that your 14-year-old daughter goes into a strange man's car to get from place to place, rather than to drive with her friend, because you're gonna think that's safer. Every single person here would have laughed me out of the room and would have never supported the thesis that is Uber today in our society, right? How many people here are retiring in the next 10 years? And before you raise your hand, I don't mean that you're gonna figure it out and crush it and become a trillionaire. I mean, you're fucking old and you're finished.
That's me.
My strategy the day I left Mount Ida College was to work in that liquor store for 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 10 years, and that's what I did. I believe that most people just don't want to put in the hard work because I believe most of you are chasing the things instead of the process. I believe that most people lack self-confidence and thus they need a watch and a home and the clothes to be a proxy to create confidence so that they can navigate through life. I believe that. And I believe that that's where this all starts and ends, which is the only reason I loved the process so much is I was hungry and ambitious, but what got me through my 20s and 30s was I didn't give a shit about what anybody thought about me. And I mean it. I didn't care. When my friends were working far less on Wall Street, making $200,000 a year and had a BMW and used it to get girls, it just didn't matter to me. It's not what I cared about. It's not how I thought about the world. I wanted to win the whole fucking thing, not a sliver. I don't want anything from you. The reason so many people at first don't like me is because I don't want anything from you. Now let me break it down for you. Because it is not my intent to cast a wide net to get you into my funnel to buy a bunch of shit from me. What ends up happening is I have zero to no tolerance and or interest to seduce you and make you feel good up front to convert you later. What I prefer to do is to help you, which means to call out your fucking bullshit. Let me save everybody a lot of time once and for all. There's no such thing as passive income. There is no such thing as passive income. There's smart investing that you then have to keep an eye on. If you have anything that makes you money, that feels that you could somewhat deem it as passive, I promise you, you have to put an enormous mental amount of energy against it to keep your fucking eyes on it. Every single person right now on social media is actually a PR version of themselves. Every picture is the highlight reel of their fucking lives. That's not what's happening off that feed, right? And so we are getting caught because we're consuming that content, and for some reason people get jealous. For some reason people get envious. Like somebody else's lives are an impact on yours. We need to massively start the process of going insular. We need to start the process of going insular. You need to win for you. Right this minute, Facebook advertising is the single best deal in the history of advertising. And by the way, becoming educated is very easy. There's a website that will help you learn everything about Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, everything. I see a lot of you got pads. It's very simple. One website will help you so much in this world. G-O-O-G-L-E. You'll see it, right? You go to it, and this is what you do. How do I run ads on Facebook? Enter. What's a good price for Instagram, weightlifters to shout out my product? Enter. How do I set up my Instagram profile to sell more stuff? Enter. Literally, no matter what you want answered, there's this miraculous site. This is not like some of us grew up and you had to go to the fucking library. Right? Like, you know why I say things like that? It's because you're taking it for granted. Right? Yep. We're taking shit for granted. Like when you wanted to become educated on shit, it was hard 30 years ago. Like really, what are we doing here? You have everything at your fingertips. Your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents would punch you in the mouth. You've got everything at your fingertips, and yet we as human beings are really good at something. It's called excuses. Who here has a smartphone? Raise your hands. Good. It's called Memos. It's called Memos. Record a podcast and post it. Don't know how? Go to fucking Google, dick. Maybe you should actually not be an entrepreneur. Because let me tell you something. The 28th employee in Facebook is going to make more money than everybody in this fucking arena combined. Think. This is about self-awareness. I understand it's cool. I understand it sounds right to not work for the man, but are you capable? Do you have that stomach? Let me tell you about entrepreneurship. When I get off this stage right now, and this feels great, and everybody's attention, all fucking great, right? When I walk right out there, I'm gonna take my phone. Let me look right now. Fuck it. Yep. Yep. Give me 1 second. 2. I have 3 big fucking problems. 3 texts right now. 1 client's about to fire us. 1 employee says that Karen's ruining her. And one issue for Wine Library. I have 3 problems in the last 27 minutes. It's all fucking problems. How many people here run their business? Raise your hand. We eat shit for a living. That's what we do. And some of us are better at it than others. So please be self-aware, because you may be happy about that. A lot of you raised your hands, but maybe you would be happier and make more money being number 2 for somebody who's a true 1, because you're a 1.5. Self-awareness. Like, shit's changing. It's macro. Shit's changing. It's real. And people here are looking for shortcuts instead of what you should all do is go back home and study for 4 fucking years and then come out like a fucking phoenix and destroy everybody. That's what you should do. You need to take 1 massive step backwards. Do you know how many people I think here should quit their job, take another job that pays them less, sell their home, go rent an apartment that's shittier, and take the time that they get from having it, from that new job that's shittier, to learn the stuff I'm talking about, and then come back? I actually believe that is the fundamental model for half this room. Nobody's doing it. Because nobody walks outside and be like, yo, sold my fucking house, going and renting an apartment now. Nobody does that. Nobody's like, selfie, my new shitty apartment, used to have a house. Not happening. I'm gonna break this down for you. From 22 to 28, I went out with no girls. I worked 7 days a week. I worked 15 hours a day to help build up my family business to a 30 to 40, at that point, $45 million business. I'm standing there at 28 years old. I built a $45 million business, right? I worked every minute and sacrificed it all. 0 fun in the prime of fun years. 0 fun, 0 fun in the prime. Yeah, that was weird, right? I went there a little bit, sorry. 0 fun in the prime of the fun years. I wake up, I'm getting paid $45,000 a year, and I have nothing in my name. So when I tell you not to care about anybody else, when somebody comes on my Facebook page and says, oh, but his dad gave him, my dad gave me an opportunity, I gave my dad plenty. So I will tell you this, my friends. It doesn't matter what people say about you, good or bad. 99% of this, 89% of the stuff that's me is I'm a genius, so it's all great, right? But whether it's good or bad, whether it's good or bad. When people say I'm a genius, when people are like, you're the best, I go, damn, my parents crushed it. I don't feel it. Like, what did I do? I didn't have sex on February 15th, 1975. Right? What did I do? My parents made this. Do you care about what other people think? You're vulnerable right then and there. If you do not, there's two things you have to deploy. Obnoxious hard work and patience against what you want. If you just want to not have a mortgage and have a pool and go on vacation for 1 week a year, you don't have to work 27 hours a day. If you want to buy the fucking jets and go all time, you have to work 37 hours a day. And I have no interest in any of you doing what I do. None. 0%. Just like that t-shirt. I have 0% interest in you doing what I do. When I do my vlog and you watch it, that is not propaganda for you to work 15 hours a day. That's just to make sure that you realize if you want this, it's 15 fucking hours a day. And I highly recommend for almost everybody here, you don't want this because it comes at enormous expense. It's tiring, it's high pressure, you're always debating what you're gonna miss in family. Like, my brother had a baby yesterday, big ups to AJ. But I was scared shitless. I'm like, this baby better not fucking come when I'm in Atlanta. So like, you just have to know yourself. You have to deploy self-awareness.